You have declared war on yourself, a war against your own impulses, your own laziness, your own lack of focus. You have read the books, you have watched the videos, you have set the goals. You have tried to build a fortress of discipline, brick by painful brick. And yet every time, the fortress crumbles. The motivation fades, the old habits creep back in, and you are left in the ruins of your own good intentions, feeling weak, frustrated, and ashamed. But what if the war you are fighting is the wrong war? What if the enemy is not your lack of willpower, but your own ignorance of the forces that truly govern you? What if your indiscipline is not a moral failing, but a message from the deepest part of your own soul? In the next few minutes, the great psychologist Carl Jung will reveal the 7 psychological laws that govern discipline. You will understand why your efforts have failed, and you will be given a new map. A map that leads not to a fortress built on willpower, but to a life of effortless, authentic, and unbreakable discipline that flows from the very core of your being. And I will reveal the one question you must ask yourself that will instantly expose the hidden self-sabotage that is wrecking your life. Part 1. The unconscious civil war. Your mind is not a kingdom ruled by a single benevolent king. It is a sprawling, chaotic, and often warring republic of different factions, each with its own desires, its own fears, and its own agenda. The part of you that you think of as you, your conscious mind, your ego, is not the king. It is at best the president, a president who is often outvoted, ignored, and overthrown by the powerful, hidden factions of the unconscious. This is the first and most fundamental law of discipline. Your conscious will is not in charge. The vast majority of your life, your habits, your impulses, your emotional reactions, is run by the unconscious. And when you try to impose discipline through sheer willpower, you are essentially staging a military coup against your own psyche. You are declaring war on the hidden parts of yourself. And it is a war you will almost always lose. Think of it like this. Your conscious mind decides, from now on, I will wake up at 5 a.m. every day and go for a run. This is a noble goal. But in the depths of your unconscious, there is a part of you that is exhausted, a part that craves rest, a part that associates the morning with stress and anxiety. There is another part that fears failure, a part that would rather stay in the comfort of the familiar than risk the discomfort of a new challenge. There is yet another part that resents being controlled, a part that rebels against any form of imposed authority, even your own. And so, when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., it is not a simple matter of willpower, it is a civil war. Your conscious mind, the president, is trying to enforce a new law, but the powerful, hidden factions of the unconscious rise up in protest. They flood your mind with feelings of fatigue, with rationalizations, I'll start tomorrow, with a sudden, overwhelming desire for the comfort of your bed. And before you know it, you have hit the snooze button. The rebellion has won. The president has been overthrown. This is not because you are weak. It is because you are trying to fight a war you cannot win. You are trying to use the tiny, flickering candle of your conscious will to fight against the vast, dark, and powerful ocean of your unconscious. The more you try to force it, the more you repress these unconscious forces, the more powerful they become. They don't go away. They go underground. They gather strength in the shadows. And they will erupt in unexpected ways, as procrastination, as self-sabotage, as sudden, inexplicable acts of rebellion against your own best interests. There is a concept in neuroscience called ego depletion. Studies show that willpower is a finite resource. Every act of self-control, every decision, every moment of resisting an impulse draws from the same limited pool of mental energy. By the end of the day, that pool is empty. And that is precisely why you find yourself raiding the fridge at midnight, or scrolling mindlessly through your phone at 11 p.m., or snapping at the people you love. Your willpower has been exhausted, the president has been deposed, and the unconscious factions are running riot. But here is what the neuroscience does not tell you, and what Jung understood with profound clarity. The problem is not the size of the pool. The problem is the civil war that is constantly draining it. Every act of repression, every moment of fighting against your own unconscious desires, every time you try to force yourself to be someone you are not, costs enormous psychic energy. It is the psychic equivalent of running a car engine with the handbrake on. You are burning fuel at a furious rate, and you are barely moving. True discipline, therefore, is not about winning the war. It is about ending the war. It is about becoming a diplomat, not a dictator. It is about turning your attention inward and starting a conversation with the hidden parts of yourself. It is about asking, what does the part of me that wants to stay in bed need? What is it afraid of? What is it trying to tell me? This is the work of integration. It is the slow, patient, and often uncomfortable process of making the unconscious conscious. It is about bringing the hidden factions of your psyche to the negotiating table, hearing their demands and finding a way to work with them, not against them. Only then can you build a discipline that is not a constant battle, but a harmonious collaboration between all the parts of your being. Only then can your will cease to be a flickering candle and become the steady, unwavering light of an integrated soul. Part 2. The sabotage of the rejected self. There is a saboteur in your life, a silent, invisible force that seems to undermine your best efforts at every turn. It is the force that makes you eat the cake after a week of perfect dieting. It is the force that makes you binge watch a series the night before a crucial exam. It is the force that whispers, "You don't deserve this." Just as you are about to achieve a long-held goal, this saboteur is not an external enemy. It is a part of you. It is your rejected self. This is the second psychological law of discipline. What you reject in yourself will sabotage you. Throughout your life, you have learned to reject certain parts of your own being. You have learned that anger is bad, that sadness is weak, that ambition is selfish, that sexuality is shameful. You have taken these vibrant, essential parts of your own soul, and you have locked them in the dungeon of your unconscious. But they do not die in the dungeon. They fester, they plot, and they become the saboteur. The rejected self acts as a compensatory force. When you try to build a life based on a perfect, idealized version of yourself, the disciplined, productive, always positive persona, you are creating a profound imbalance in your psyche. You are living a lie. And the rejected self, the part of you that holds all the messy, chaotic, and inconvenient truths of your being, will rise up to expose that lie. It will sabotage your perfect diet because it holds your unmet need for pleasure and comfort. It will sabotage your study schedule because it holds your repressed desire for freedom and play. It will sabotage your success because it holds your deep-seated fear of being seen, of being judged, of taking up space in the world. This is why the most disciplined people are not the ones who are the most controlled, but the ones who are the most whole. They have had the courage to descend into the dungeon of their own unconscious and make peace with the rejected parts of themselves. They have learned to listen to their anger, to honor their sadness, to embrace their ambition, to integrate their shadow. They have understood that these rejected parts are not monsters to be slain, but lost children to be welcomed home. When you do this work, the saboteur transforms. The energy that was once used for self-destruction becomes available for self-creation. The part of you that once craved the instant gratification of the cake now finds a deeper pleasure in the vitality of a healthy body. The part of you that once rebelled through procrastination now finds a more authentic freedom in the pursuit of a meaningful goal. The part of you that once feared success now finds the courage to shine. The great psychologist Alice Miller wrote about what she called the drama of the gifted child. She observed that many highly capable, sensitive people learn very early in life to suppress their own authentic emotional responses in order to meet the needs of their parents and their environment. They become experts at performing the emotions that are expected of them, while their true feelings go underground. And it is these underground feelings, these rejected parts of the self, that become the saboteur in adult life. You may recognize this pattern in yourself. Perhaps you learned as a child that anger was not allowed in your home, and so you became a people pleaser, a conflict avoider, a master of the polite smile. But the anger did not disappear, it went underground. And now it surfaces as passive aggression, as a sudden, inexplicable resistance to doing the things you said you would do, as a deep, burning resentment that you cannot quite name or explain. Or perhaps you learned that your needs were a burden, that asking for help was weakness, that you had to earn your place in the world through constant performance, and so you built a life of relentless productivity. But the part of you that craves rest, that craves connection, that craves the simple pleasure of doing nothing, is still there, and it sabotages you every time in the form of burnout, in the form of inexplicable exhaustion, in the form of a sudden, overwhelming desire to burn it all down. So, look at the ways you sabotage yourself. Look at the patterns of failure, the repeated cycles of effort and collapse. They are not random. They are a map. They are a breadcrumb trail leading you back to the rejected parts of your own soul. Follow that trail. Have the courage to face what you have disowned. Sit with the parts of yourself that you have deemed unacceptable. Listen to their stories. Understand their needs. And as you do, you will find that the saboteur within you was never your enemy. It was just a wounded part of you, crying out to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved. Part 3. The prison of the persona. You are living in a prison, a comfortable, well-decorated and socially approved prison, but a prison nonetheless. This prison is your persona, the mask you wear to navigate the world, the carefully crafted identity you present to others to win their approval, their respect, and their love. And this is the third psychological law of discipline. Discipline in service of the persona is a form of self-abandonment. Your persona is not you. It is a social construct, a role you have learned to play. It is the good student, the hard worker, the caring friend, the successful professional. It is a necessary tool for social survival. But when you mistake the mask for your true face, you begin to live a life that is not your own. You start to pursue goals that are not your own, and you try to build a discipline that is not your own. This is the root of so much of our struggle with discipline. We are trying to force ourselves to be disciplined in the pursuit of a life that our soul does not want. We are trying to build a beautiful, gilded cage. We try to wake up early to work on a career that is slowly killing our spirit. We try to eat a healthy diet to achieve a body that meets some external standard of beauty, not for the joy of our own vitality. We try to be a disciplined writer or a disciplined artist, not because we are overflowing with a creative vision, but because we want the identity of being a writer or an artist. And the soul rebels. It rebels through fatigue, through resistance, through a profound and unshakable sense of meaninglessness. The psychic energy required to maintain this false self, to keep the mask in place, is enormous. It is a constant, low-grade drain on your life force. And so, when you try to add the extra effort of discipline on top of that, the system collapses, you burn out, you give up, and you blame yourself for being undisciplined, when the real problem is that you are trying to discipline yourself into a life that is a lie. The Swiss psychiatrist Paul Tournier wrote that the most difficult thing in the world is to know yourself, and the most easy is to deceive yourself. The persona is the primary instrument of self-deception. It is the story we tell ourselves and others about who we are. And the more convincing the story, the more dangerous it becomes. Because the more we believe our own mask, the further we drift from the truth of our own being. This is why so many high achievers, so many people who appear to be the very epitome of discipline and success, are secretly dying inside. They have built a magnificent persona, a life that looks perfect from the outside, but inside there is a hollow, aching emptiness. Because the life they have built is not theirs. It is a performance, and no amount of external success can fill the void of an unlived inner life. The Jungian analyst James Hollis writes about what he calls the unlived life. He argues that the greatest tragedy of human existence is not suffering, but the failure to live the life that is truly yours. The unlived life does not disappear. It haunts you. It speaks to you in the language of depression, of anxiety, of a persistent sense that something is missing, that you are somehow living the wrong story. And it will continue to haunt you until you have the courage to take off the mask and ask the most terrifying question of all. Who am I really beneath all of this? True, sustainable discipline is not about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. It is about having the courage to discover what you do want to do. It is about the process of individuation, the journey of taking off the mask and discovering the true self that lies beneath. It is about aligning your life with the deep, authentic desires of your own soul. When you are living in alignment with your true self, discipline ceases to be a struggle. It becomes a joy. It becomes the natural, effortless expression of your own being. You wake up early, not because you have to, but because you are on fire with a sense of purpose. You eat well, not because you are trying to control your body, but because you love your body and you want to honor it. You create not because you want to be seen as an artist, but because the art is bursting to get out of you. So, ask yourself the dangerous question: who am I trying to be disciplined for? Am I doing this for me, for my true self, for the joy and the meaning and the vitality of my own soul? Or am I doing this for the persona, for the mask, for the approval of others, for the maintenance of an identity that is not truly mine? The answer to this question will reveal whether your discipline is a path to freedom or just another bar on the door of your own prison. Part 4. The alchemy of meaning. There is a fuel that is more powerful than willpower, more sustainable than motivation, and more potent than any life hack. It is the fuel of meaning, and this is the final and most profound psychological law of discipline. Effort without meaning is unsustainable. You can force yourself to do almost anything for a short period of time, but you cannot sustain a life of meaningless effort. The soul will not tolerate it. It will rebel. It will shut down. It will, in the end, refuse to play the game. This is why so many of our attempts at discipline fail. We are trying to build habits, to pursue goals, to construct a life without first connecting to a deep, personal, and unshakable sense of meaning. We are trying to build a house with no foundation, and when the first storm comes, the house collapses. Meaning is not something you find. It is something you create. It is the story you tell yourself about your own life. It is the why that gets you out of bed in the morning. It is the sacred context that transforms a mundane task into a holy ritual. And it is the only thing that can sustain you through the inevitable moments of pain, of struggle, of doubt. Viktor Frankl, the great psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote in his landmark work Man's Search for Meaning that those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. He observed this principle in the most extreme conditions imaginable, in the Nazi concentration camps. He saw that the prisoners who survived were not necessarily the strongest or the most physically resilient. They were the ones who had found a reason to survive, a person to return to, a work to complete, a mission to fulfill. They had a meaning that was greater than their suffering, and that meaning gave them an almost supernatural capacity for endurance. You are not in a concentration camp, but the principle is the same. The capacity for discipline is not a function of your genetics, your intelligence, or your personality type. It is a function of your meaning. The deeper and more personal your sense of meaning, the greater your capacity for sustained, effortful action. The shallower and more external your motivation, the more quickly it will fade in the face of difficulty. Consider two people, both trying to build the discipline of running every day. The first person is running to lose weight. Their why is external, based on a desire to meet a certain social standard. Their running is a chore, a punishment, a means to an end. The second person is running because they have discovered that running is a form of moving meditation. It is the time when they feel most alive, most connected to their own body, most free. Their why is internal, based on a deep personal experience of joy and vitality. Their running is a celebration, a gift, a sacred act. Who do you think is more likely to still be running a year from now? The answer is obvious. The first person is relying on the finite, depletable resource of willpower. The second person is tapping into the infinite, renewable resource of meaning. To build an unbreakable discipline, you must become an alchemist of meaning. You must learn to take the lead of your daily tasks and transform it into the gold of sacred purpose. You must ask yourself again and again, why am I doing this? And you must not be satisfied with a superficial answer. You must go deeper. You must connect your actions to your deepest values, to your highest aspirations, to the person you are choosing to become. Why are you waking up early? Not just to be productive, but to have a sacred hour of silence to connect with your own soul before the world rushes in. Why are you eating a healthy meal? Not just to lose weight, but to honor the miracle of your own body, to cultivate a state of vibrant energy that you can then offer to the world. Why are you doing the hard, focused work? Not just to get a promotion, but to master your craft, to contribute something of value, to express the unique genius that only you possess. When you live in this way, discipline is no longer a burden. It is a privilege. It is the joyful and willing expression of your own deepest values. It is the way you vote every day for the person you are becoming. It is the way you make your life a work of art. Let's bring this home. You came into this video believing that your indiscipline was a sign of weakness. You now know that it is a sign of a deeper wisdom. It is the voice of your unconscious, the cry of your rejected self, the rebellion of your soul against a life that is not your own. The path to unbreakable discipline is not through more effort, but through more awareness. It is not about fighting yourself, but about integrating yourself. The fortress you have been trying to build was a prison. The true fortress is the one that is built from the inside out, from a place of deep self-knowledge, radical self-acceptance, and an unshakable connection to your own sense of meaning. If this message hit home, if you are ready to stop fighting yourself and start listening to yourself, then right now in the comments type, "I am ending the war." Let it be a declaration of peace, a commitment to a new way of being, a promise to yourself that you will no longer treat your own soul as an enemy to be conquered, but as a sacred mystery to be explored. And if this video gave you something real, please like it, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Wise Daily. Every video on this channel is built to give you one thing: the philosophical tools to live with more power, more clarity, and more intention. We'll see you in the next one.